Look, Jordan Peterson is a very complicated man. I think we all know that by now. And yes, so many Christians don't know if he really believe in the literal resurrection of Jesus Christ. But in this interview, Alex O'Connor was able to get Jordan Peterson to finally admit he believed Jesus rose from the dead. Watch the video and I'll tell you what I think in the back end.
I think a lot of people interpret Paul, for example, the earliest New Testament source, as saying that if Jesus did not literally rise from the dead, if there was not a man who stopped breathing and then started breathing again, then your faith is futile and you're still in your sins. That is, Christianity is undermined. Now, that means that, and Paul doesn't say sort of believing that that's false is really bad. He says, if you do not believe this proactively, then your faith is futile.
That's the problem I have with that.
If you don't proactively believe that yourself, then I think when a Christian asks you, do you believe in the resurrection of Jesus? Are you a Christian? I think you must be committed to saying no, at least under that interpretation of Paul. And even if you're not sure, I mean, it's fine if I say to you, do you think that a man physically rose from the dead? And you say something like, well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, but I think it has a lot of mythological significance, or I think that maybe it happened in a different sense, or it happened in the sense that good fiction happens, then fine. But it needs to begin with that caveat of the simple sort of, historically speaking, I don't know. And I know you don't like to pull out the historical Jesus and the mythological.
That's a good objection.
But it's an important question to ask.
No, of course. It's a very good objection. So I just did a seminar on the Gospels with a crew of about 8 people. And it was the same crew that walked through Exodus with me with a couple of variations. And we spent a lot of time on the resurrection accounts, for example. And of course, that was the toughest, morsel to chew and digest. The thing about the resurrection accounts is that they're all, so I could say something like this, which will just annoy people, but it doesn't matter. I believe the accounts, but I have no idea what they mean.
When you say you believe the accounts, do you mean, and I hate to be sort of pedantic here, it seems pedantic, but do you mean you believe that these are things that happened such that that's a strange
I
know you don't
state.
like that. Let me put it this way. If I went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
So that to me seems like a belief in the historical event of the resurrection, or at least of Jesus leaving the tomb, which means that when somebody says, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? It doesn't seem clear to me why you're not able to just say, it would seem to me yes.
Because I have no idea what that means. And neither did the people who saw it.
I mean, I suppose one...
Look, let's approach this obliquely, let's say. The miracle of the loaves and the fishes. Okay, so people will say, well, do you believe that happened literally, historically? It's like, well, yes, I believe that. It's okay. Okay, what do you mean by that? That you believe that? Exactly. So you tell me you're there in the way that you described.
Right.
And
what do you see?
What are the fish doing exactly? And the answer is you don't know. You have no notion about it at all. You have no theory about it.
Sure.
So your belief is, what's your belief exactly?
Well, I think a Christian might say something like, my belief is that I have no idea, looking at those fish, what I would see in the process of them being converted into enough food for the 5,000 to eat. I have no idea what I would see. But I do know that what I would see is the fish end up being spread amongst the 5,000. In the same way, like if I opened up the water jar, what would I see when the water became wine? I have no idea. Does it sort of blend from one color into another? Does it suddenly snap? Does it disappear and then reappear? I don't know. But what I do know as a Christian is that I would see something at some event in which when I look at the beginning, it's water, and when I look at the end, it's wine. And I mean actually. I don't mean that Jesus turning water into wine is some kind of, inextricably mythological story, and the question of whether it happened sort of doesn't matter, or maybe it happened in a meta manner, or maybe it happened in a hyper reality sense. No, I would be, as a Christian, committed to saying that it happened historically.
I'm more inclined, rather than to believe, I'm more inclined to understand. And then when I hit the limits of my understanding, I think, I don't understand that. Now, do I believe it or not believe it? I think often, especially with regards to biblical matters, let's say, I have a suspension of belief and disbelief.
Yeah, and that's fine too.
I think part of the reason that I've been able to be an effective interpreter of the biblical texts and a relatively scientific interpreter is because I approach the texts with respect, the same respect that I would approach a lab animal. It's like, I don't know what this is. Like, I seriously don't know. And I'm not going to come at it with axiomatic assumptions that are unquestionable. I'm going to try to see what's right in front of my eyes. I'm going to try to see what mystery reveals itself if I take this phenomenon seriously.
I think Jordan Peterson is on a journey. He wants to know how all the miracles in the Bible are possible. He doesn't understand it. And to be honest with you, we as Christians don't understand it either. I don't know how Jesus was able to walk on water. I don't know how Jesus turned water into wine. I don't know how Jesus was able to resurrect Lazarus from the dead. But I know it happened because that's what the historical evidence point to. The evidence is Jesus does not lie, and he really rose from the dead on the third day, like the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John reported. The best we can do is to pray for Jordan Peterson, for God to open his mind and reveal these things to him. All right, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.